Hello everybody, this is Catholic Dad. This is video number 42. It's a video on vaccines, but it's more just thinking about endemic viruses in society. So can viruses give you super immunity? And so I think a lot, and I think a lot about numerous things. And the one thing that a lot of people don't think about, particularly all the pro-vaccine crowd out there, not that I'm anti-vaccine at all under any circumstance, but can viruses give you super immunity to other viruses? And the answer is an unequivocal absolute yes. And there's two instances that I know that you could easily type in the internet, Google it, and figure it out for yourself. Number one is type in flu or a swine flu super immunity. And you'll come up with articles from the BBC or the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, things like that. Did you know if you get H1N1 virus, that you're virtually immune to almost every other flu virus in circulation? So meaning if you get the swine flu, you virtually have very little chance of getting another flu virus throughout your entire life, meaning that it creates a super immunity in your body to all other flu strains. And therefore, the swine flu actually creates an immune complement which protects you against multiple other viruses with different immune complement. And so that's important to think about. So, and then let's go one more. How about rotavirus? Now, the rotavirus, this is essentially viral infectious diarrhea. And it kills kids in the world, particularly in the developed world, where they don't have things like ventilators and IV fluids and Gatorade and Pedialyte and stuff like that. But well, anyway, so they introduced the rotavirus vaccine in Europe, and what it did was it stopped kids from getting rotavirus. But they discontinued the rotavirus vaccine in Europe. Why? Because children were dying at higher rates and dying higher rates of pneumonia. And so the hypothesis was this, that the rotavirus wasn't necessarily bad for you, even though you got it. It actually inferred some kind of immunity on you to other diseases such as strep pneumonia or Staph aureus or some other antigen in your life that your immune complement wanted to attack. It actually gave you that immunity. And so that kids that never got the rotavirus died at higher rates. So therefore they discontinued the rotavirus vaccine. We don't give it in America. And so therefore certain viruses can give you immunity to other viruses or other disease processes. Okay. Now, let's take a step back for a second. If we know that the swine flu can give us super immunity, if we know the rotavirus can give us super immunity, what do we not know? Like, so we're sitting here giving a whole swath of vaccines to our children: measles, mumps, rubella, DTaP, the polio, tetanus, you name it, diphtheria, varicella, tetanus, you name it. What viruses or antigens or bacteria could those viruses create a super immunity in us too that we don't know about in our population? And it's possible to think about, like, does measles give you some kind of super immunity to, say, HIV, or measles give you some kind of super immunity to a Zika virus or something like that? Like, why do these viruses pop up every now and then in society? Like, HIV has been around for 100 years, but yet it popped up in the 1980s. What happened in the 80s that released the virus into the human population? Or Zika virus, for that matter, was around, probably 100 years. But then all of a sudden it popped up the last decade, and that's creating microcephaly and all sorts of other adverse consequences in humans. What if the measles virus, endemic measles virus, is actually squeltered infectious Zika virus within the human population? Like, it is possible, that if you have a child with, say, microcephaly, and you find out that measles virus was actually gave you immunity to Zika virus, that you would actually say, why didn't I ever get measles? You'd be kind of annoyed about it. And the point being is this: we're constantly in our developed world giving tons and tons and tons of vaccines without knowing the side effects or the other immunities out there, the potential other immunities that we are squelching from our immune complement, that potentially we may be unmasking a much larger disease process that we could possibly fathom. What if some kind of virus pops up, rears its ugly head, it's highly infectious and kills, 50% of the people that get it, but it was squelched or held back from, say, varicella. You never know, or a basic chicken pox. But we don't know about those viruses. They're kind of hidden right now. They're not infective in humans, but perhaps they're not infective in humans because we have enough immune complement to hold them back. The other thing is to think about is this. Viruses give us other sorts of immunity to other things. What if there's cancer, like antigens on cancer cells for lung cancer, pancreatic cancer, kidney cancer? Like, what if we don't know about the changes in our immune complement until, like, say, 3, 4, 5 generations removed? And that suddenly there becomes endemic lung cancer in our population, or people that are vaccinated against certain things, they have higher rates of cancer, and we don't know why. Well, maybe it's because holding back a cancer within your body is actually an immune system response. I'm a radiologist. I biopsy tons of things in my life. I probably do 1,000 biopsies a year or something like that. And if I get a biopsy specimen that shows scar tissue and no cancer cells, it means that I came very close to probable cancer cells, because your body fights cancer, and so it creates this immune response to it. You get fibrosis, you get a big inflammatory response, and then the body tries to clean up the cancer. It's only when the immune system can't handle that cancer that the cancer overwhelms your body and you succumb to it. That's the natural cause of death, or that's the natural dying process in cancer. But what if, for example, measles, mumps, rubella, or any one of the viruses that we've kind of tried to eliminate from our society is actually giving us the immune complement to stop the process of cancer later in life? That is a distinct possibility, which I don't think anybody's ever thought about, and we won't find out until we live longer, right? Until we see what happens to our children. What if kids start getting higher like childhood cancer rates or something like that? We don't know that. And so I'm not saying pro or anti-vaccine. I'm just saying we don't know what we don't know. And it is possible we might have within 10, 20 years, we might have a new virus that pops up in the population, far more virulent and far more noxious than any of the ones that we eliminated. And it may pop up in our population because we eliminated the viruses that were far less virulent. So that we don't know. I do know that the rotavirus does protect you. I do know that if you get swine flu, it protects you from virtually every other virus in circulation. And that's another question to ask yourself. Would you, if you can get a swine flu and have like a very small chance of dying from swine flu, it's slightly more virulent than other strains of flu. What if you could get that and get super immunity to every other flu? Really? I mean, think about that. Would you want the super swine flu virus? I don't know. But I do know if I did have swine flu, it would give me some kind of, it would give me some kind of safety or feeling of well-being when the next flu epidemic came out, because then I would know I have immunity to it. But if I got the swine flu vaccine, and therefore I was inhibited from getting the swine flu, then I was inhibited from getting the super immunity to other viruses as well. So, well, this is Catholic Dad. Just thinking about it, try to figure it out. I just like playing with ideas, and we don't know the monsters, the immune monsters and the immune complement monsters that we're going to be popping up by altering the immune complement of an entire generation of people through vaccines. We just don't know it. And this is Catholic Dad signing off. God bless. Pray the rosary daily. Try to get the Mass and confession, and God bless you all.